So there are multiple different ways that freedom of speech can be infringed. And probably the most obvious of these is when a government actively picks out a certain type of speech and says, you're not allowed to say that. And an example of this could be when a government passes a law that says um, voicing criticism of transgenderism, homosexuality, and unchaste lifestyles, we're going to call that hate speech, and you are now liable for that, perhaps criminally liable. That's a problem because that limits your freedom of expression in what should be an open marketplace of ideas. You look at freedom of speech, and that free, as in free speech, is in means as in like unbound. So it should behave like a free market, right? And so if you're being restrained and you're not actually able to express those ideas in that free market, then that is an example of government interventionism where they're putting their thumb on the scale and they're saying you're not allowed to say this kind of thing. And you could have very valid, religious, moral, or just principled objections to those lifestyles. And so that criticism actually does need to be allowed. Another way that you might not have realized that governments control and censor speech is actually through subsidies. So imagine it like this. Say you want to go into publishing, you have a news media company that you're just starting up, and you want to keep people informed about what's happening in the news. And so you start up your company and you have a really hard time gaining and growing a viewer base because there are already these national news media corporations. And it's not the fact of their existence that is problematic necessarily. It's more the fact that a lot of these companies have received taxpayer funded subsidies over time. So it's that whenever that happens, as it has with various national news media corporations, it's literally the government picking and choosing winners and losers in what should have been a free market. And so that interferes with your ability to disseminate ideas. It interferes with your freedom of speech and of the press. The government actually is crafting an almost monopoly on the press when they do that by seizing public assets and then diverting them to private interests. And this has actually happened with various companies, as I mentioned, various news media corporations. It's also happened with Elon Musk's social media platform X. I don't know if you know this, but he bankrolled the purchase of Twitter using the gains from taxpayer subsidies. His businesses were heavily subsidized to the tune of multiple tens of billions of dollars, and then he used that to go and buy these businesses. And so it's kind of like saying, oh, you have free speech on this platform, right? And but in reality, it's more like you've been put in a jail cell and you're being told you're still free to move around. It's true technically that you still have some freedom of movement, but it's not very much because you're being crowded out by these competing influences.